Hey everybody, it's JJ Conway. I want to welcome you to our Fireside chat. This is where I answer your money questions and you have the opportunity. Oh, hold on. I forgot to dial in. Oops. So we were trying to do this on Clubhouse. I really didn't get a lot of traction on Clubhouse. So we're going back to free conference call. Hang on a second and let me go ahead and do that so people can dial in if they choose. Sorry about that. I know dead time on air is not good. Okay, the recording has started on free conference call. Okay, so we're going back to our roots, y'all. We're going back to our roots. And y'all, some of you may remember that I started my business using free conference call. Like that is how I got my business started. When I used to teach my classes, I would teach them over the phone through free conference call. And I still use that for client calls today, unless those clients prefer and pay for Zoom. But we do a lot over free conference call. But when everything new came out with Clubhouse, I was like, I'm going to jump in on the next new thing. And I just didn't find that it gives me as much interaction and control as I want. So maybe I need some tutoring on that, or maybe I just need to go back to what I know works. And so if you want to ask a question and you don't want to put it on the chat or in the comments, you can dial in. I will put the number up for you. You can dial in and then you will be able to ask your question verbally. Okay, so let me find that phone number. Here we go. I thought I saw it. Maybe I scrolled too fast. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Dial in to ask your question. So there's two ways to ask your question. Let me add that in there. You can go to askjjc.com or dial in or do a comment. Maybe I should add that in. Questions. Post a comment. Fill out the form at askjjc.com or dial in at 267. Oh, we don't want it tickering. Hold on. There we go. Oh, now I need to sit myself up a little bit. Okay. So if you want to ask your question, there's where you go to ask your question. You can either post a comment here. It'll show up in my back and my back screen, my backstage as a comment. I'll be able to answer that. Or you can fill out the form at Ask JJC, or you can dial in at 267-807-9598 and use the access code 192-891-499. If I go back to this, maybe I'll invest in a one number where you don't have an access code, but that's what we've got for right now. So before I begin tonight, and I am kind of stalling because admittedly, I'm really surprised that I don't have more questions. And I've been surprised by a lot of things today or this week because like my gym, a lot of you know that I do Camp Gladiator. And if you want to try it for free, make sure you send me your email address because it starts next week where they are giving out free membership. It's online and in person. I like the online where I can just do it from the comfort of my home. But some people like the in person. They have gatherings all over the nation. If you want that, make sure you send me your email address. Don't drop your email address in the comments. PM it to me so you don't get spammed from other people, right? Because these comments go into my YouTube channel and they go to other places, and you don't want to get a bunch of spam, right? I've been logging in. I've done a couple workouts this week, and I've noticed very few extra people. I was really surprised by that. Like normally in pre-COVID years, when you go to the gym in January and February, you almost can't find a machine because everybody and their brother is working out and everybody and their brother's getting fit. And I don't know if it's a thing of we all kind of got fit during the pandemic, and so we don't need a new surge like we normally would this year, or if it's just that people aren't choosing the virtual like I am. I thought I could slide in and hide with my screen off because I don't like to put my screen on a lot. But, today I needed to. I needed the extra accountability because I did not feel well and I did not feel like working out. You ever have those days where you don't feel like doing what you need to do? This is a principle that goes beyond working out. It's getting healthy. It's building a relationship with your friends and families. It's running your business. It's managing your money. There are strategic actions we need to take. And our success is based on the consistency of our daily actions towards those goals. But when we don't feel like it or we don't feel well, it is so easy to roll back over into bed. or when life is just miserable and we don't want to face it, it's so easy to roll back into bed or roll into some other kind of function that will deaden us, numb us, help us just ignore it and escape it for a little bit. Okay. And so we want to take those daily consistent actions. But I was really, really surprised that there were not so many people jumping into the New Year's workouts. And just like I was really surprised, I do not have any new questions. I was like, did I forget to do some advertising? Maybe I did, over Christmas break. Maybe I didn't pay as attention to my business as I needed to. I don't know. But there are no new questions in the queue. So if you've got a financial question, either add it to Ask JJC, jump in the free conference call, which I guess I'd better pull up the dashboard so I'll know. I'll know if you're trying to ask me a question, what you're going to do. Let me go ahead and turn that function on. Actually, stars. Let me enable the Q&A mode. Hold on. But if you have a question while I'm doing this, please, please, please submit your question. You can put it in the chat. You can go into the free conference call and raise your hand to ask a question by doing *6. And
Q&A session has started.
There we go. It'll give me a little ping that you want to ask a question, or you can drop it in the comments, or you can fill out the form, askjjc.com. All right. So because I don't have any questions, what I want to talk to you about today is Airbnb shenanigans. Okay, I got a lot of people that are, now I will say I've heard some places that numbers are starting to climb again because of COVID, but for the last 2 or 3 weeks, everybody that I've been talking to, if they're not talking about Christmas, they are talking about the travel they can't wait to experience this coming year, right? And so I had somebody, one of my clients that I spoke with this week was like, I'm going to go on Airbnb and I'm going to just save all this money. She actually helped me develop a challenge you guys are going to hear about soon. We're going to do a vacation challenge, right? Oops, did not mean to do that. I meant to delete that one. But what I cautioned her, and I'm going to caution you today, is that we need to be very aware of what's going on and what our final costs are. Let me see if I can share this with you real quick. I made this thing called Airbnb shenanigans as I was planning my last trip. So, well, not my last trip, my summer trip. So for many of you may not know, in summer, I did something. Wait a second. I want you guys to still see me. Okay. Okay. I'm going to have to lose the banner so you guys can see this. Okay. So during summer, it's the first time in my adult life that we ever took this much time off. We combined some speaking engagements and church conference, and we basically went around the Midwest part of our country, out of New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, Utah. Like, we just kind of went up and meandered our way up and meandered our way down. And so in me trying to save some funds and also find some exciting new places, going to a hotel is great. My little one, he loves hotels, especially if they have a pool. And he's supposed to be in bed, but he looks like he's working his way over here. So maybe I'll let him say hi to you real quick. But he loves hotels. He loves hotels. And he's happy if we stay in a hotel. Me, I like to try new things. And so we like to use Airbnb about maybe half the time when we go on a trip. All right, go to bed now. All right. And so I like to find new eclectic places to stay, unique places to stay, things like that. And I like to save money. Our last one in Colorado was fantastic, y'all. It was fantastic. We got a whole basement apartment, like $40 a night, where everybody else was charging $100 and something a night, about $199 to $250 a night for rooms. So, but what I discovered when we were planning is there's a huge difference in what you're being charged versus what they're advertising. Okay. And so you see here this example. I'm not saying that these people are super wrong. I'm just saying that everybody knows how to play the game. When we're searching for stuff, whether it's on Amazon, whether it's on Google, whether it's on Airbnb, they know how to reel us in. They're going to give us this property at that's normally 112 a night. They're going to give it to us for 77 a night. And you think, wow, that's a great deal. But look at the total that you're going to be paying for that night is actually $255. Now, you may be more astute than I am. Um, the first time that this happened to me, I had actually not paid attention to all the fees. I had paid attention to the cleaning fee, which they used to be a lot less than they are now, but they added in service fees. They now add in taxes. There's even some places have all these extra fees. It's worse. It's really like worse than buying a car or getting a house loan with all the junk fees, you know? And so you really want to pay attention to what you are getting and how much it is ultimately costing. Don't be misled by the 77 a night or the 25 a night or whatever number they have at night that brings it to the top of your search list when you sort by price. Okay. So that is what I have as far as teaching. I'm going to check now I don't see any hands raised on free conference call. I don't see, let me refresh this. I don't see any new questions. So I'm going to answer a question that came to me earlier with one of my clients. And then if we don't have any other questions, we're going to call it a night because I honestly don't feel very well. And I know I look great, but I don't feel as well as I normally would. And so I don't want to just make stuff up along the way. Hey, but here we have Happy New Year from somebody I want to interview for you all. So I'm putting that out on Front Street. Dee, I want to interview you about your Collect the Cash book. And I want to make sure that people get access to the content that you provide. So if you've ever been in a business where you feel like you can't seem to get people to pay their invoices, Dee is the one to talk to, y'all. Happy New Year to you too. Hey there, Ken. It's so good to see you. If you guys don't have any questions, we're going to be wrapping up pretty quick today. So I got the commitment. It's on Facebook, so it happened. The book is fantastic, and Dee is also fantastic. But what I want to talk to you about is I had somebody come up to me and ask about starting a business. And so we spent significant amount of time walking her through starting a business. And, you know, during the pandemic, a lot of people started businesses, but a lot of people also said, well, it's going to go back to normal. Life is going to go back to normal. Life is going to go back to normal. Well, life isn't going to go back to normal. And so we need to understand that maybe the new normal will adjust a little bit from where we're at now, but the new normal is not going to go back to being what the old normal was. It's just not, okay? And so I have some ways to help you in that. And the first way that I have to help you, let me switch my screen share so that you can see this. The first way that I have to help you with that is something we just completed. It is the Wealthy You in 22 challenge. In this challenge, you are going to learn from over 30 speakers about wealth management, money mindset, and the nuts and bolts of establishing your business, picking a business that's good for you, and investing in real estate, crypto, or other kinds of things. This challenge happened at the end of the year, last year. And now the recordings and everything have been posted. Oh, I should probably tell my mailing list that everything has been posted now. Oops. But everything has been posted, all the videos, all the audios, MP3s that you can download to your phone and take with you so that you can listen to this life-changing content and whenever you want. All right. So that's one tool that I have. And the reason I'm showing that with you tonight is because it's free tonight. I told the folks that were in the challenge I was going to make it available to them for free, and I have made it available for free. But Teachable came in and said, oh, by the way, here's going to be your bill. So guess what? We're not going to make it free forever. So if you know that you want to participate in the Wealthy You in 22 challenge, you go ahead and register for it while it's still free, or pay whatever it is we're going to charge. I think we're going to do $20.22 or something, just something to help cover the hosting fees. And then you'll also get daily memes that are journal prompts to help move you forward when it comes to your daily relationship with money and abundance. Okay. So I'm super excited that everybody's on today. I'm really excited that you're on. I wish I had more questions to ask, but I don't. So I'm going to tell you what I told her about starting a business. And then, you know what? I had another client with a very interesting discussion. We walked through and brainstormed ways for her to get private investors. So maybe we'll talk about that as well. But if you have a question, I encourage you to ask your question. You can either post it as a comment, you can fill out the form at askjjc.com, or you can dial into the number below, and that will put you into the free conference call. You do *6 to raise your hand, and then that will tell me that you want to ask a question. Okay. So when choosing a business that works for you, there's a couple things that we want to start with. We want to understand, one, what is our intention with this business? What is it that we want to accomplish? I get a lot of people, especially speakers, that want to speak at my conferences. And when I ask them, why do they speak? What is their goal in their speaking business? It often boils down to, I want to make money. Well, I want to make money is usually not a strong enough big why in order to push us through life's up and downs and the trials and the tribulations of starting a business. I want to make money is usually not enough to keep us going. Because you know what? Most of us want to make more money. Most of us want to be healthier. Most of us want XYZ out of life. And guess what? We haven't been motivated yet. Those clothes in my closet that are laughing at me, that I haven't been able to get into them for a few years, that has not motivated me enough yet. I had to find a deeper reason for what I wanted to do. And so when it comes to starting a business, you really want to look at, what do you want to do? The next thing that you want to look at is this concept called Ikigai. Now I'm going to pull up this slide for you, and I'm going to acknowledge up front, I'm really embarrassed to admit that I was teaching this concept for a while and did not realize it was like an official thing. Like, it's a big business kind of thing. Okay. And so I was teaching it, and then I met another speaker, and she's like, oh yeah, this concept of Ikigai. I was like, well, what's that? And she started talking about, what it was. And I was like, wait a second, I teach that. And I felt so bad because I felt like they were, like, I felt like everything that speaker said, I do that. Like, oh, you have a child who plays cello and codes. Well, I have a child who plays cello and codes. And everything they were saying, I was like, oh, I do that. Oh, I do that. Well, I'm going to show you this slide. All right. It's going to help you if you want to start a business. But I'm going to acknowledge up front that I have not updated my slides from when I learned that this was a thing. And I was like, well, how was that a thing? And I've been teaching it all this time, and I didn't know it was a thing. Well, I guess back in the day, because the last time I taught this seminar was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, right? Well, I guess back in the day, I did what a lot of us do. I went out on the internet, I grabbed some graphic, and I adjusted it to my needs. And I just kept using it. I owned it, and I didn't even stop to think that, maybe you pulled that from somewhere, and maybe that somewhere was a thing. Okay. So I am acknowledging that I need to go back and find the source of this and do the credits and all that kind of stuff. This is not my work. Okay. But what I saw in this was the mistakes that I had made. And let me just check this real quick. I'm definitely going to talk about your question, Ken, after I finish describing this. So one of the things that I discovered is that it's not enough to start a business just because you're passionate about it and something that you absolutely love. It has to be something that you're passionate about and something that you absolutely love, but it also has to be something that the world needs. And in the rest of this presentation that I'm not going to share with you today, just as a discussion, um, in the rest of this, I talk about things that I wanted to monetize, that I was very passionate about, and they just weren't something that the world needs. The other thing is it has to be something that you are paid for. And something that you can be paid for is not the same as something that they can readily get on YouTube. You have to have a secret sauce. There are a million financial planners out there. So why do people come to JJ Conway to get their financial planning? Well, they come to JJ Conway for a couple reasons. First of all, I take them seriously when a lot of other financial planners may not take them seriously due to gender or color or financial situation. Okay, that's one of the biggest reasons that people come with me and stay with me, is because I gave them an opportunity to up level their lives when other financial planners didn't even want to hear them, didn't even want to take an appointment. Okay, what's another reason that people come to me and stick with me? Well, because I've been there. I've gone from being $800 something thousand in debt $800 something thousand dollars of divorce debt, single mom in the military, struggling to make both ends meet, to now being full-time mom and entrepreneur. Okay. So I've walked the walk. That's the secret sauce I have that not too many other financial planners have out there, right? So it has to be something that you can be paid for, but you have to be able to communicate it and know it in a way that speaks to them. Otherwise, they're just going to go to YouTube. And it's not even just about YouTube versus Facebook Lives and a service thing like what I'm doing with you, but let's talk about a hard business. Let's say you like to make dresses and you make these beautiful frou-frou dresses. I had a client who did this. And I had a boutique at the time where I sold frou-frou dresses, and that's why I got to know this person. And over time, things had shifted. Not only had the style shifted in the church community that I served, but also the ability to buy those same kinds of dresses in Walmart for $10, $15, whereas these frou-frou dresses were costing like, $80, $90, $120. Well, you're never going to be able to compete with that unless you find a way to distinguish yourself in the marketplace. And one friend that I had that was doing the knit hats and scarves and things, she was very, very disappointed that she couldn't move her product. But in another trade show across town, another vendor was making buku bucks because they were customizing all the products, and everything that they sold was special order with luxury fabrics. Now, if you asked me, the luxury fabrics, they weren't any more luxury than what my other friend was using, right? But for some reason, that's the way that she marketed and positioned herself, and she was able to make a lot of money. Okay. And then the final thing that you want to consider is it has to be something that you're good at. Okay. So when I look at a lot of these, I think about my time as trying to really go with youth programs. And up until recently, I was never really good with youth, and I've worked hard to become better with youth. But my biggest problem with youth is not so much the youth, it's the parents. And so that's where my journey has been. But when I first started in business, I just knew I was going to serve youth that were like me. Like, somebody took the time out to let me put this on me for a second. Somebody took the time out, and cost to them, or potential cost to their profession, to let me and my sister play in the youth center, even though our parents couldn't afford the annual fee for us to be members. They kept us off the street, and they kept us involved in something wholesome, and we had a little job, and we did things. Somebody did that for me. And somebody took interest in me, and the band director who let me and my friend Jenny create MIDI things, and use his keyboard and create songs and programs and all kinds of things. I was the ideas person. She was good at knowing which note matched what I wanted to do, right? Like, we were a great team, but somebody had to take the time to allow us to do that, instead of saying, you know what? I'm busy closing my doors. I need a break. I'm going to check out for a few minutes, and then I'll deal with all them kids later, right? So, yes, 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 yes. Woo wee. All right. Yeah, my days as a youth minister, I'm so glad they're behind me. I pray that the Lord allow them to be behind me. But you know what? I'm always willing to serve. But I just, I just wanted to give back. I wanted to do for others what somebody had done for me. I really believe that the people who poured into my life, the adults who poured into my life for over time, I really believe that those individuals, they saw something, maybe they recognized in them. I really believe if they hadn't poured into my life, if they hadn't kept me in the youth center on base when my parents couldn't really afford it, and let us play pool, and let us have a little quote unquote job helping out, I really believe that I would have fallen into a lot of trouble. And because many of you know my story, I was always considered kind of slow growing up. I mean, I wasn't diagnosed with anything or anything, but people often knew that I wasn't, really paying attention to a whole lot. Well, those kinds of kids get into a lot of trouble. They get taken advantage of. They get abused and used. And I'm so thankful. So I wanted to give back. Well, guess what I discovered about giving back? I'll tell you what, giving back did not give me money. Not the way I was doing it. Okay. And so now I have a robust business. I actually do a lot of work with young people. I love it. People pay me now. So the parents who don't want to hear what I have to say, they're paying me to hear it. So it makes it more palatable. But you have to find the intersection of all these things. And I call it being the highest and best use in the professional realm. It is considered the state of ikigai. It's a Japanese phrase. Okay. And so you want the intersection of something that you love to do, something the intersection of that the world needs, and something that you can be paid for, and something that you are good at. There are a lot of things that we may be passionate about, we may not be good at, and we may not want to take the time, effort, and energy it takes to get good at. All right. So we have to consider and balance all these things. But it really starts with your intention. Why do I want to start this business? What is my goal? Why am I doing this? Am I doing this to provide a better pathway for my family? Am I doing this so that I can make money, make a living, earn a living, make money while making an impact, or however I need to acquire wealth or abundance funds? Am I doing it, or am I starting a business so that I can do that while spending more time with my family? Am I doing that while starting a business so that I can achieve these other goals? Or maybe I've had a significant physical hit in my body. I've been in an accident, or I've developed a disease, or I developed a condition, or somebody gave me a condition and it limits me being able to flow the way that I normally want to flow. Well, and I need to do something on my own terms. Like, that's a very valid reason to want to start your own business. And so once we start our own business and we really understand what it is that we can do and where we can serve, then the next thing that we want to do is spend some time researching what we want to do and how we can serve. Okay. If your passion isn't profitable, like for me, I founded Military Single Moms. Oh man, back in 2010, I think it is. I founded Military Single Moms because I needed help adjusting to this new life. I had never set out in my life to be a single mom. I had done everything I could. I mean, just stereotypically, socioeconomically, if there's anything in my life I did not want to be, it was a single Black mother with a bunch of debt. And 12 years into my marriage, 15 years with that guy, here I am, the dust settles, and now I am everything that I set out not to be, right? And so I had to make those changes, right? And so I formed this Military Single Mom. Well, you know what I discovered really quickly? Ain't nobody caring about single moms. If you do a research on single moms, and if you're a sensitive soul, don't do this. But if you do a Google, if you type in single moms, you're gonna find a whole lot of memes that are very disrespectful and a whole lot of not supportive. Okay. And so there are agencies out there that support single mothers. But one of the things that I found 10 years ago, that in the military sphere, I was not getting support. I wasn't getting support from the spouses clubs on base, the bases that I was stationed at. I wasn't getting support from the leadership. I wasn't getting support for a lot of people. And in fact, I remember the last time that I was advocating for military single moms, I was pregnant. I was remarried and pregnant, but I was so swollen like today that I didn't have my rings on. And the Secretary of the Air Force came to talk about different policies that she was implementing. And I got up with my 9 months pregnant self and I said, well, what are you doing for single mothers? And people turned around, looked at me up and down like, ugh. And then they just kind of looked to see what she had to say. And I appreciated that she had a very honest answer, which was basically, we're doing nothing. Single parents need to build their own support system and find their way. I did not like the answer, but I appreciated the transparency of it. And I sat down and I was like, why on earth is everybody looking at me like this? It's a valid question. And I put my hand on my other hand and I was like, oh, I don't have my rings on. Now, look, my husband gave me some nice rings, y'all. They put almost anybody else's rings to shame, but I was swollen and I didn't have them on. And I suspect those military leaders, they must have thought that I was a single mom or about to become a single mom. Okay. No judgment on my part for single moms, right? But the thing is, in our society, it's still not accepted at the categories of people that have the money I need to make something happen. So I was never going to get donations from those people. I was never going to get support from their spouses. I was going to keep beating my head against the brick wall, trying to help support single military moms. And so I had to stop my goals of making that a viable nonprofit that was going to sustain me and turn it into a nonprofit that was basically going to be a labor of love. Now, fast forward a couple years, then maybe maybe, maybe today is the day for that. There's a lot of things that people accept now, and they don't judge like they used to. But at the time it was like, look, I love this, I care, and I still have some grand things that I want to do, such as providing deployment daycare and things like that are still things that I want to do once I get my ducks in a row. But that wasn't going to be profitable enough for me. Okay. That doesn't mean don't do the social things that are making your heart sing. It means understand very clearly, go into it eyes wide open about whether or not this is going to be a viable business, a viable nonprofit, or is it going to help you achieve your goals. I had bigger goals than what I was going to be able to make with military single moms, even structured properly as a nonprofit. And so now I execute those goals, and my profits help fund what I do with military single moms. Okay. And so the next thing that we want to really consider is we want to consider what's our ideal client. And let me tell you something, if your ideal client can't afford to pay you, they are not your ideal client. This was such a hard lesson for me to learn because my heart is so big. I wanted to help kids like I used to be. I wanted to help military single moms. I wanted to help any single moms. I wanted to help socioeconomically depressed single moms. I wanted to help single moms like me who, when they walk in the door to ask for help, people are like, we don't want to help you because you're just another statistic and we don't care, right? Like my heart was like, I want to do that. But guess what? Guess what? I did that for a number of years, and I discovered the hard way that if I'm not getting paid for what I'm doing, then what I'm doing is not meeting my goals. And I'll tell you how I discovered it, because I've always been a bleeding heart, right? And that's why I do these calls free every free once a week. I do these lessons because I want to give back. And as my business grows, I always want to have something there that allows me to give back. And so even though I don't take on free clients as much as I used to, I have very limited capacity for free clients. I will always do free group coaching through these calls, right? But one of the things that one day I'm in my church building. I had a building in the Pierre Bourget Mall for about 4 years. It was our church, and we also used it for community outreach through my business. So my John Maxwell and financial planning businesses, the leadership and all those trainings would be executed out of that building in exchange for helping spread the word about the ministry. It was a really neat win-win, right? But I'm sitting there one night, the last night I had a free client. I had brought my kids in, slapped some pizza in the back room, put on the video games and let them just play back there and eat pizza. Very unhealthy all around. And this next night I had another free client. And we did this week after week. And of course, what do most free clients do? Well, after about a month or two, when they realize that I'm not kidding, you need to stop spending more than you make, well, they fall off. And this particular week, I'd had a string of grabbing my kids, throwing them in the office, grabbing my kids, throwing some pizza at them because it was fast and it was easy. And when this last lady didn't show up, I thought to myself, I am putting my family out. I am spending money on junk they don't need to be eating. And I'm giving them too long access to electronics that I personally, with ADHD kids, I don't feel like they should be on electronics as long as maybe somebody else's kids. I see the difference in how my children behave. And here I am putting my family out for these people who aren't even showing up for themselves. And if they had paid me my $500 rate, you guarantee they would have showed up for themselves. And that's when I realized I can't just give away what I'm doing in that kind of capacity anymore, because I'm not just giving away me, I'm giving away my family's future. And many of you have been building businesses, and giving away a free taste of what you do is an excellent way to build business. But you have to determine where the lines are drawn, because you don't want to build a business empire and lose your family in return. So you really want to look at who is your ideal client and how are you going to attract them. And so that leads into Ken's question that he asked, and I appreciate him asking it. I hear a lot about avatars and ideal clients. How important is that for a business owner? I think it's incredibly important. And I will admit, I'm going through a rebranding phase right now. So over 2022, you're going to see me shift my messaging. I'm working with some branding experts right now to try to really hone in on where I'm going to be serving over the next 3 to 5 years. But for me, it's very important because if my ideal client is somebody that can't pay me, then I have to categorize my serving them in a way that does not impact negatively my family or my other business. And conversely, when I sat down and looked at my business back then and I said, well, who is paying me? It's very interesting. Who was paying me fell into a couple of categories. The first category, and the absolutely most fulfilling category, were people who were like me, starting over again later in life. They're afraid that they can't rebuild, that they don't have enough time. I come alongside them. I encourage them. I equip them with tools that you can be financially independent in as little as 7 years. Okay, depending on the amount of debt you come. Like you got $845,000 of debt like me. Well, it might take you a little longer. But you know what? It didn't have to take me as long as it did. The reason it did was because I ignored some of that debt for so long, blaming my ex. So that's a whole nother story, right? But when I realized, okay, when I went down and did the research, I said, who is really paying me? Who is funding my pro bono work? It was mainly women my age or older who were starting over again, saw that I had walked this journey. They're scared. They need somebody to walk it with them who's not going to talk down to them, who's going to elevate and encourage them, and who has done the thing. Right. So I was like, oh, I got that. The other category of people I had, this is a very interesting one. I had a very high instance of men in this category, men who were facing issues with either their wives or their girlfriends or their security clearance, and they wanted to throw money at the problem and make the money problem disappear. They wanted to throw money at the problem and be able to say, see, I'm working with the financial planner. Well, you can guess how few of those guys were ever successful in what they did because they didn't show up fully. And I realized that even though physically they were paying me more money than the ladies were, they were not a category of client that I really wanted to market to. And so for me, I didn't want to just say, oh, I'm going to go to professional women. I'm going to go to mature women starting over. I didn't want to say any of those things. People would talk about avatar and they would talk about ideal client. And I knew I didn't want to keep giving for free, right? But I also didn't want to neck it down because there's so many other people that need this content. Well, guess what's happened? Not only in my financial planning, but also the conferences I put together and the speakers I attract, I'm getting plenty of other people who are aligned with my mindset, even though my focus is women. Y'all see Dr. Jonas be steady up in my conferences and on my page and on my podcast, right? But my focus is where it is. That allows me to tailor my message and put it in a way that they are willing to receive. Okay, men get the blessing too, but I'm focusing where I'm focusing. It also makes it more clear. If, back in the day, some of you are going to be offended by this. I know some of you are going to be offended by this, but I want to say it because it's important for you to understand my journey. Back in the day, I was told to take my picture off of my website by one of my first business coaches. And I was mad at him for saying that. But then he was right. When I took my picture off of my website, my first financial planning website, my conversion rate went up at about 400% from the leads that were sent to me through his company. And I sat and talked with another mentor, like, well, how come that worked? And I can't remember which of these two actually said this. I used to think it was the first guy, but when I made a comment about it, his company was like, oh, none of our people would have ever said that. But I mean, the way they treat people, it would be that's another story. But either him or the second guy was like, because nobody is looking for financial advice from a young Black woman. They are looking for financial advice for what they perceive to be a leader, which in American society is an older white man. And I was mad, y'all. I was so mad. But I tell you what, taking my picture off that website worked, and it increased my return on the investment in buying the leads that I was buying into my business. Okay. I'm not saying that to say that's the current situation in 2022. But I'm saying that to say sometimes we have to understand what is our client looking for. And we have to be comfortable with leaving money that our clients are not looking for. In my case, I have an ambidextrous enough voice, if we can say it that way, that I can appeal to a wide variety of cultures if they're not looking at me. Okay. And so those were decisions I had to make. Now I'm a professional speaker. Now you need to know what you're getting. I literally showed up to speaking engagements and people thought that I was going to be blonde haired and blue eyed, and it caused a lot of problems. So now what you see is what you get, right? But when I was starting my business, I had to make decisions and I had to decide, who do I really want to serve and how do I get before them? there are plenty of people that want to hear your voice. There are plenty of people that share your background, that share your experiences. They are now where you were 10 years ago, and they need somebody like you to help show them the way. And you step in, and now you're able to be that guide to help them be the hero of their own story. And it works. You attract to you the people that want to follow you, and you repel the people that don't. So, one of the other steps in starting a business that I think a lot of us need to spend a little bit more time on is being okay with repelling people who don't want our business and not taking it personally. When I was in real estate, I am in real estate as an investor, but when I was a realtor for about 10 years, I was with Long and Foster, and then I was with Keller Williams. When I was in real estate as a realtor, we would do a lot of phone calls, cold calling expired leads or cold calling any kind of leads that we had. And we had to realize that it was a numbers game. I'm going to call 100 numbers. Of those, maybe 10 are going to schedule an appointment. Of those, maybe 6 or 7 of them are actually going to show up to the appointment. Of those, maybe 3 are going to sign a contract. And of those, maybe 1 is going to give me a big fat check. But I was willing to put in the work so that I could get the big fat check. I knew that I was in control of my destiny, and it was a numbers game. If I wanted to make so many closings a month, I knew how many phone calls I needed to make. Okay. And so some business areas are like that. But when you're in that kind of business area, one of the things that you have to get very comfortable with is hearing no, or hearing no response. In real estate investing, that's the most common response. Like, you put out a low bid offer and you don't even get a response back. They're like, I'm not even going to justify that low ball offer with a response, right? And so we have to get comfortable hearing that and understanding that we are repelling the people that don't really want to work with us. Because if the people don't really want to work with us, they're not going to get the results that they could get if they were more invested in us helping them achieve their goals. And that's going to hinder our business. How many of us have been in business and we spent so much time building our business with people who were almost reluctant to do business with us? And then for all of our efforts, we've got no testimonials, we've got no video testimonials, we've got no social proof that what we're doing actually works. By honing in on your ideal client or creating what we call the avatar, you are able to better attract the people that really do want what you have to offer. Now, I'm going to show you an example of an avatar. If I'd have known I was going to teach on this, because normally, for those of you who've never been to a fireside chat is normally me answering your questions. And I normally have about maybe 20 or 30 questions, and we just go through them one by one. Okay. And so I wasn't planning on this. If it seems a little disjointed, that's why, but I'm actually having a lot of fun. I hope you guys are having fun with this. Okay. So what I'm going to show you, this is the avatar board I put together for my Women Building Wealth Together conference. Oops, it would help if I actually hit share. Um, this conference is going to be in May. I am actively seeking speakers for the conference. Okay. And in seeking speakers, I've put together this presentation that allows the potential speakers to very quickly see who we are talking to. This is the Building Wealth Together conferences are global conferences, predominantly professional women, predominantly brown and black women, predominantly North American, but we do have a global presence, and predominantly mothers, although about half of those are going to be empty nesters starting over. And so I put together this board to very quickly say, here's who you're talking to. And I did a presentation today, and I doubt he's watching my channel, so I don't know if he's going to care that I say this, but I did a presentation today with somebody who, first of all, it's never fun when only, you got 20 slots, and usually I got about 10 or 12 people in each one, and I only got one guy show up, and he is not resonating with this audience at all. And I'm like, I'm a professional. I'm going to go through my presentation and let you decide what you're going to do. But you could tell from his body language, the comments he made, and all of that this was not his cup of tea. I have to be comfortable with the fact that this is not everybody's cup of tea, but this is who I'm called to serve. And so I want to very quickly attract speakers who want to serve this group of people, this group of women, for the Women Building Wealth Together conference. Now, our main Building Wealth Together conference in November, that's open to, that's for everybody. I mean, they're all open to everybody, right? But it's open to everybody and it's focused on everybody. But this conference is women specific. So I have to be okay with the fact that you're not comfortable talking about women specific issues with your wealth building service. That's okay. I have to be comfortable with it. The other thing that creating the avatar does is it helps you hone your product and offering to what they need. This is one of the areas I have struggled the most with when it comes to business because for me my I wanted to serve people who are like me. And then it's one of the most disheartening things of my MBTI training. So we're in there training. Y'all know I'm certified in a lot of behavioral assessments, right? MBTI, DISC, True Colors. Like I love that stuff, right? Like I'm not a psychologist, but I might as well be, right? But I love that stuff because I'm always fascinated by how people think and how I can help them achieve their goals better. And so I'm in this MBTI training and he starts talking about people like me. And it was the first time in my life that I had been put in a box with other women who thought and executed the way I thought and executed. It was heaven until he was like, yeah, you are 0.01% of the population. Most women don't think this way. And most people in general don't think this way. And of the people that do think this way, a lot of them are leaders, but they're not women. And I was like, okay, so I cannot go after women like me if I want to serve women in general. And I want you to hear what I'm saying and don't hear what I'm not saying. If I wanted to build a business only dealing with people like me, well, first of all, I might not do very well in that business because people like me would go to the library, get the book for free, and learn how to do it on their own. Now you can learn how to do it faster with the strategies that I teach you, but people like me would not appreciate that because I know I sure didn't. Like, yeah, I could have done it faster with your mentoring, but I'm going to do it myself without having to pay you, right? So I couldn't go after people like me. And then because I couldn't go after people like me, I had to learn what other people appreciate. And I had to learn what other people struggle with. And it's not a right or wrong. And I'm really glad now that I went on that journey because I have two high I children. I'm on the DISC scale. I'm a high D. I like to get things done. But on my children, both of them are very high off the charts I have had to learn how to meet them where they are so that I can be more effective in pouring into them. So it's not about a right or wrong. You need all the personalities, right? Like if the whole world was just full of JJ Conway, we might have a little fun here and there. We'd get a lot done, but there would not be a whole lot of fun unless fun for you is getting work done, which fun for me is getting work done, right? But we need people like my boys to introduce fun and laughter and levity into life, okay? And so it takes all kinds to run a world. But because I didn't know that, I was trying to market over here. And instead of being able to market to the whole sphere of women in this category, I was really only marketing to this little teeny tiny portion. But that little teeny tiny portion was not going to pay my bills. Okay. And so when we're building a business, we need to look at the things that are paying the bills. And some of you, I've seen that some of you here, you're on the John Maxwell team with me. You might have heard my conversation with Valerie Burton about the business and how I've been having to make some shifting in my business. And her conversation is really what has motivated me because I realized my business was fun, my business was fulfilling, but it wasn't paying the bills. And by paying the bills, I don't mean in my personal life. My personal life is taken care of, right? Praise God. But not doing the things that I wanted it to do. The business was not growing the way I want it to grow to be able to change communities the way I want to change communities, right? You've got to make sure that what you're doing is meeting your goals. And a lot of times the reason what we're doing as a business is not meeting our goals is because we never sat down to be intentional about our goals in the first place. So that's why I was starting in the beginning about why do you want to have this business? Don't be like me and be in business for a couple years and not really have a solid why behind what you're doing other than making money. Okay, that was my motivation. I was broke. I needed money, y'all. All right. So I'm going to try to go through the comments. I've got a fair amount of comments now, but I don't see any questions that are unanswered. So I think the next thing that I will talk about with starting a business The next thing I want to talk about was starting a business. Okay, I'm going to talk about this, and I could go on this all night, but I'm not going to. The next thing I want to talk about was starting a business, is I want to caution you against the desire, or what other people say is a need, to take on inordinate amounts of debt in order to launch your business. You simply don't have to do that. There's a great book called The $100 Startup by Chris Guillebeau that goes into multiple businesses. I think he's got like 60 different businesses in there that were started with less than $100. And you don't have to go into debt to start your business. You don't have to take on partners that are, I don't want to say unscrupulous, but that are not aligned with your values. Okay. You don't have to take on debt, and you don't have to take on people who are misaligned, let's say it that way, with your values. Okay. You can build a business ethically and quickly when you are intentional about what you want to do, when you make sure that you do your research to ensure that the lane you're playing in is going to be profitable. It's something the world needs. It's something they will pay you for. It's something you can be good at, and it's something that you're passionate about. You can be good at a lot of things and not passionate about it. I'm very, very good at math. At least I was before the car accident, but I did not like math. I even got offered a math scholarship, but I did not take it. You know what my passion was, and what I ended up doing for 23 years in the Air Force was physics. I was never a straight A student in physics, but I enjoyed it. It was so much fun for me. So you want to make sure that whatever it is that you choose, you don't have to be the expert yet, but you have to be good enough to get paid. And it has to be something that the world needs. And then once you define that area and that space, you want to figure out who most needs your services and is somebody you want to work with. That's where you have that confluence of your ideal client. And then you want to make sure that you are intentional in setting up your business and following wise financial strategies, which for me means no debt. I understand. I just taught a class earlier today, and they were like, well, I need to take a line of credit for my business because, people aren't paying like they should. And I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to do that. And I'm never going to be, I don't want this to come out the wrong way. I'm never going to say that that's not a way. That is a way. But for me, debt got me into trouble over and over again. So I'm like, not going to happen for me. Somebody who's more disciplined, somebody who's more this or that, whatever. But I'm more of a free spirit, and I'm going to do what works for me, and I'm going to do what works for people like me. Okay. So we want to make sure, we want to make sure that what we're doing is actually working and that it's moving us forward instead of moving us back. Another great book about business, and I should have built the Amazon link so that I could get the affiliate fee, right? Is Profit First. And I forget who wrote that, but when I was in a thing of a bunch of financial coaches, and they were like, well, how do you structure business? And I was like, I've got accounts for this, 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 and this, and this. Like, wow, that's really too much. That's too much. Who can manage all that? But to me, having the accounts set up, having these different accounts set up, it lets me see very clearly how my business is doing. And again, my business right now is not what we live on. It's our lifestyle. It's the next car. Soon it'll be the next house, right? Like that's what my business does now. But even when we're doing our lifestyle, it's very important to know, are we running a business? The IRS says if you're not making any profit, it's not a business, it's a hobby. And so we have to make sure that we're actually making profit. And Profit First is a great book for being able to do that right away. Okay, from minute one, being able to make sure that you're making profit. Now, I will leave you with something else. I said that was going to be it, but I'm going to give you this tip, this tactic. I think for me, it's the number one thing that has helped me build my business without going into debt and without a whole lot of consternation and wasted time and energy. Have I wasted time and energy? Sure. Have I wasted money? Sure. But it's minimized the amount, and that is testing the concept. So I'll give you an example of this. Let me see if I can find it while I'm talking. And actually, I probably can't find it because I don't remember what I called it. Oh, that's too bad. Well, back in the day, maybe a couple years ago, I made this infographic. I made this infographic on what to do with your money depending on where you were. So if you can't pay your bills, financial emergency, you go into a pro rata plan, you stop digging the hole deeper, right? If you are financially okay, you can pay your bills, you got a little left over for fun, and you're not out of debt, but things are okay, you're average and normal, There's another plan of attack. If you are financially secure and you have plenty of money and your money is making money for you, and now you're really at that next phase of life where you're trying to figure out how to give responsibly, well, then here's another phase. I poured my heart and soul into that infographic, y'all. I put it up on Facebook and I said, hey, y'all, this is my first attempt at an infographic. Tell me what you think. I got so many likes. I got so many smiley faces and hearts and, oh, that's good, girl. But you know what? I didn't get forwards. I didn't get shares. I didn't get viral at all. It didn't even go mini viral in my community, y'all. You know what that told me? That told me what I put together did not resonate with my audience. Oh yes, Ken, I did save it. It's just I have a new computer, so I don't know. I don't know where to find it on this new computer. We haven't ported everything over yet. Hey Tim, I'm so happy you're here. I appreciate the work you're doing and helping brands elevate. So what that told me was, this is a topic people like, and I got some real nice friends that want to support me, but this is not going to get the job done. And what I had to learn to do, this is just me, I had to learn how to break down what I share into more bite-sized chunks so that people could consume it. I was too much. And I guess I've always kind of been that way, an overabundance of information and overabundance of details. Even though I'm a high D and I want to get stuff done, the way I get stuff done is because I've already done the analysis in my head before we came to the table. So we want to test the market. We don't want to test the market in a way that gives all of our ideas to somebody else. But before you spend 6 months on that website, why don't you put out a few posts and see if what you want to offer resonates with the people who already know, like, and trust you? Or if you're with me, if you're like me and your personal Facebook is really more people that are friends and family, but it's called what did Larry Burkett call it? The powdered butt syndrome. Once they powdered your butt, they don't want your advice on sex or money, right? So maybe you got a lot of people that have done a lot of powdering for you as you've grown up through the ages, and they don't really want to hear it from you. You may have to go grow another audience. You may have to make new Facebook friends, or you may have to participate in other groups, but you can test the market to see if these are things that you really want. And if these are things, not that you really want, that didn't come out right. See if these are things that really resonate with the audience that you intend to serve. Okay. So I think we're gonna wrap it up there. I appreciate y'all participating. I appreciate y'all who have been commenting. I want to make sure I've captured everybody. Oh, I see one from Jaleesa there. Let me I just fast forwarded it. Oh, there it is. Here we go. Yes, 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 yes. This is a great one. This is a great one to case study. I hope it's okay if I case study you on this, because I've remembered you from back in the day when you first said you wanted to have the World Healing Center. I still have that paperwork. Now, it's in a box somewhere because I'm still unpacking, but I still have your paperwork and I still pray for your vision. And so let's take this as an example, okay? So let's say you want to have a holistic health resource center, or you want to have trainings, or you want to have classes, you want to have things that are going to be accessible and affordable. And you say, well, that's not going to help me build a profitable business. Okay, that may not, because it's kind of like my single moms thing, Do people care about paying for poor people to have accessibility to health resources and health and things to improve their lives? Well, guess what? There's a lot of, and I know I'm gonna make some people mad when I say this, y'all, but I'm gonna say it anyway. That's what you came here for, right? There are a lot of people that make a lot of money off of poor people being unhealthy and uneducated, and not having the financial strategies that they need, and not even being educated about strategic thinking and the ability to direct their own lives and attract abundance into their lives. That was a mouthful that said there are a lot of people that are invested in keeping the poor and unhealthy. Okay. And so when you want to do something that changes the world, and you want to do something that elevates the life of poor people, it has to be one of two things. It has to be a labor of love, where you are bringing in people who, like someone like me, like I wanted to give back because somebody poured into my life, right? Or you have to find a way to make what you want to do on the outside profitable and meaningful for the people who have the money. And so in my business, do I still offer pro bono work? Sure. Do I still teach community classes at no charge? Sure. Do I still do all of the things? Absolutely. They make my heart sing. And I've been called to equip God's people, especially women of color, right? So do I do those things? Sure. But are those the bedrock of my business? No. And so, what I can't answer for this example, which is a fantastic example, what I can't answer for this example is there enough business there from the people who can afford to pour into the business to be able to also use some of those funds to meet the need of the accessibility and the affordability? Or is there enough other people who, like me, care enough to be able to subsidize that where it doesn't profit? Because there are ways to make this kind of thing profitable. There are people who are doing that, you know, people selling smoothie challenges and lemonade challenges. And is that okay? Never mind. I shouldn't have used that because that's probably not healthy. But you know what I mean? People are making money off of health resources and they're making money off of poor people. So there's a way to make money off of making health resources accessible and affordable. But you have to figure out what they are, and you have to decide what's in line with your value set. And then you have to decide where your investors are going to be, who can help fund this, the areas that aren't accessible, that aren't profitable, so that you can execute the things that you desire to do that aren't. And then you can find the ways to make the other things profitable to the populations that have the money. And that's a whole nother discussion that we do not have time for, and I don't have energy for tonight. So we will hold that and table that discussion for another day. But I hope that that has helped you begin to do some planning to move forward. Yep, 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 yep. All right, y'all. Let me do a quick check on free conference call. I don't see any hands raised on free conference call. Let me go into the JJC link. I ask askjjc.com. I don't see any new questions. So I think we're gonna wrap up for today. I want to thank you all for being here. And I hope that you will go to buildingwealthtogether.com, grab your copy of that free Wealthy You in 22 challenge that's up there right now. Get it while it's free, y'all. Get it while it's free and be able to really move the needle forward in your life. Also, don't forget about the Building Wealth Together podcast. We are starting. We did take a little bit of a break, over the holidays and stuff, but we are starting back up. I've got some outstanding interviews for you that have been already recorded, and some outstanding resources such as the discussion on Airbnb. You can find that you can access that at buildingwealthtogether.com. You can click podcast. But if you go to buildingwealthtogether.com right now for one day only, I have established this as the homepage. So this is the page everybody sees, is the link that takes you into the Wealthy You in 22 challenge. And for one more day, that's going to be free. Don't you forget to get in there and get those videos and download those MP3s to your phone so you can listen to them on the go and get reinforcement and encouragement along your way. I'm JJ Conway. That's all I've got for you today. I want to thank you for being here. Y'all take care and be blessed.